Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We start our video with a story about winter, backbreaking snow, and a man who was tired of someone stealing his parking spot. Kept stealing my cleared parking space? Okay. Years ago, I was living in Horten, Norway, just a minute's walk from the city center. Beautiful little town. The summers were pleasant, but the winters, brutal, especially that year. The snow came early and stayed deep. The city hadn't prioritized our side street for plowing, so residents were left to fend for ourselves when it came to clearing out parking spaces. I had 2 cars at the time and no private driveway, which meant I had to park along the narrow, snow-packed street. After every heavy snowfall, I'd be out there with a shovel, breaking my back for a few hours just to dig out 2 parallel spaces, one for each car. It wasn't fun, but it was necessary. After a few rounds of this, I noticed something infuriating. When I'd leave for work early in the morning in one car, some stranger would swoop in and take the newly cleared spot. No idea who it was, no notes, no introductions, just an unfamiliar car in the space I'd spent hours digging out. At first I thought maybe it was a guest of a neighbor or someone lost, but no, it kept happening every single day. I tried being reasonable. I didn't want to start a war over parking, so I bit my tongue, and after yet another blizzard, I carved out a 3rd spot. I figured if I made an extra space, maybe the mystery parker would take that one instead. But no, they kept choosing mine. That's when I decided to get a little creative. One evening, I got home a bit early. The interloper's car was already there, snug in my freshly shoveled space, so I took car number 1 and pulled up just inches from the front bumper. Then I backed in car number 2 just as tight against the rear. Neither car was going anywhere. Not unless they could fly. I snapped a few photos, locked both vehicles, and went inside. I knew it wouldn't be long before someone came knocking. Sure enough, within the hour, there was a furious banging on my front door. When I opened it, a red-faced man in a thick coat shoved a police badge in my face and barked, "You need to move your car now so I can leave." I blinked. "Excuse me? You're the one who's been stealing my parking spot." He huffed, "It's a public street. You have no legal claim to it." I smiled, probably too smugly. "You're right, but I also didn't see your name on a shovel while I was clearing it out for 2 hours." He didn't like that. "Move the cars or there will be consequences." Now, under normal circumstances, I might have caved. He was a cop after all, but I'd reached my limit. Instead, I gave him the coldest F-off I could manage and slammed the door. He kept banging. The second time I opened the door, I'd calmed down a bit. He hadn't. He was still ranting about laws and obstruction and how he had places to be. I cut him off and said I might have lost the keys while shoveling earlier. Maybe I'll find them in the daylight. In the meantime, maybe order a taxi? He stared at me like he couldn't believe what I was saying. I took the chance to explain very calmly how many hours I'd spent maintaining that spot. I told him that if he wanted a snow-cleared space, he was welcome to grab a shovel and make one himself. But until then, maybe respect the effort people put into keeping their cars accessible in a snowstorm. I think that was the moment he realized I wasn't going to budge. His anger didn't go away, but it kind of deflated. He muttered something under his breath and stormed off, on foot. The next day, his car was gone. I never saw it parked on my street again. He must have decided it wasn't worth the trouble, or maybe he found a street where people didn't have the energy to fight back. As for me, I kept shoveling my spaces, kept minding my business, but I'll be honest, I also kept a much closer eye on things after that. I knew full well that if that man ever had the chance to get back at me, especially in an official capacity, he'd probably take it. So I made extra sure to follow every traffic rule, never parked an inch too far from the curb, and always kept both cars perfectly legal. He may have had a badge, but I had 2 shovels and all the time in the world. And from that point on, my parking spot stayed mine. Great results. You're lucky to live in a civilized society. Here in the USA, you'd be harassed until they found a reason to arrest you. And our second story. Entitled couple demanded I clean their mess. Too bad I don't work here. Or care. Bit of context. I'm a beleaguered FedEx guy, 6 days a week, at least 13 hours a day, delivering your knickknacks in time for Christmas. My state of mind could liberally be described as punchy, as in 0 F's left, very tired, just grinding through one day at a time. Today is one day off Eve, so I decided I'd stop by my local grocery store to grab some delicious adult beverages to accompany my post-shower couch crash. As I walk in the store, I remember I need soap and shampoo. I go grab them first, walk to the beer aisle, and select a particularly lovely IPA. Dreams of cold suds washing down my parched throat, dancing like sugar plums in my head. I hear a loud crash in the aisle, one over from me. I know it's the wine aisle, so I walk over to see if everyone's okay. Now keep in mind I'm still in uniform. Blue uniform pants with reflector strips on the legs, purple and black cotton FedEx shirt, black beanie, Red Wing boots, and a gray Carhartt hoodie. I don't look like the grocery store employees. I think I know why things went down the way they did. I'm a smart butt. I piss people off sometimes with my bullcrap. I had soap, shampoo, and a case of beer. They may have thought I was bringing stuff back to the shelves, though my uniform should have been a dead giveaway. I round the corner on the aisle and I see a young 20-something couple staring down at a pile of broken glass and a spreading pool of grown-up grape juice. They look up at me. I ask them if they're okay. They say yes. Like an idiot, I say, ain't nothing but a sacrifice for Bacchus. Pause for laughter. Crickets, in fact. The girl seemed really pissed. Okay. Turn on my heel to leave with a shrug. Can't win them all. The guy speaks up. Are you effing kidding me? I turn to look at him and say, excuse me? He spits, get back over here and help us clean this up. It's your job. The laughter that broke free from me was pure and a bit hysterical. I've been getting my butt kicked for weeks, and here's this guy giving me a death stare with his hands on his hips as I laugh my butt off. The girl was no better. I wave them off with a nah and go to pay for my stuff. The couple actually went up to the manager, who's a buddy of mine from years of shopping in this store, to complain that I just walked away from them. I watched them complain about me to the manager. It was awesome. The manager just looked at me, looked back at them, and said, well, yeah, he's a FedEx guy. Just hold on, someone will be there soon to help you guys out. The couple stormed off. The dude's staring me down. I'm kind of snort-chuckling at him and looking back. The manager comes over to me and asks, the hell was that all about? Bacchus, the god of wine. She laughed like, yeah, whatever, I have work to do, and walked off. I paid for my stuff and left. Now I'm sitting on the crapper writing this for you all because I'm so happy to finally have one to share. And our next story. They took my 18,000 pounds, but I made sure their Mediterranean cruise turned into a nightmare. Last year, I hired a small family-run business to landscape and tarmac my driveway. They showed up with all the right tools, paperwork, even had a flashy little website and matching shirts with a business name on them. Price wasn't cheap, 18,000 pounds, but they promised a high-spec job, full drainage, leveling, edging, and durable surfacing. What I got instead was an absolute disaster. They rushed the groundwork, didn't compact properly, and used thin, uneven layers of tarmac that began cracking within the first month. Drainage pooled near the garage, the edging collapsed when I reversed over it. It was worse than what I had before, and they vanished halfway through what they called the finishing phase. I tried contacting them, of course. Calls ignored, texts left unread, emails bounced back. I drove past the address listed on their invoice. Nothing but an empty lot. That's when I realized I'd been conned. Eventually, I managed to get some legal advice and took them to small claims court under the fast-track system. The good news, I won. The bad news, the repayment order was for £10 a week. 10. Because the guy was on universal credit, the court couldn't touch the car or caravan they lived in since it was considered their only residence and only transport. 18,000 pounds, £10 a week. At that rate, I'd be paid back in 34 years, assuming inflation doesn't eat it all. But I wasn't done. I had a nagging feeling that the money hadn't vanished. These people didn't live like they were scraping by. I decided to do a little digging. I created a fake Facebook account, young woman, attractive profile pic, not over the top. I noticed the husband was active on a couple of local buy, sell, and community pages, so I started interacting on the same posts, commenting here and there. Within a week, he added me. His profile was wide open. Photos of nights out, birthday parties, and most interestingly, a countdown to a well-deserved getaway, a Mediterranean cruise, 10 nights, full board, spa suite, and excursions. I messaged him from the fake account. Sounds incredible. Always wanted to do one of those. He replied within minutes. Yeah, we've booked the premium package. $15K altogether, but worth every penny. $15K. $18K, a cruise, while supposedly scraping by on benefits and paying me back in pocket change. I screenshotted everything. Every message, every photo. I even confirmed the cruise line and found the specific package they'd mentioned. Next step, I filed a report with the Department for Work and Pensions. I've got a friend who works in the Fraud Investigations Unit. She helped guide me through the process without technically crossing any lines. I submitted the evidence through the proper gov.uk portal and made sure to flag the exact cruise details, the dates, and the names they used for booking. But I didn't stop there. I also filed a money laundering report through the same government system. The guy had no legitimate income, no assets beyond a rundown caravan and a car with 3 warning lights on the dash, yet he was sitting on $15,000 in disposable cruise cash. A few weeks later, I got a quiet update from my DWP contact. An investigation had been opened. They were looking at the family's finances, benefits, and income declarations. A few months after that, an unexplained wealth order was issued, essentially a demand that they prove where their money came from or risk seizure of assets and further criminal investigation. From what I understand, they didn't take it well. Their Facebook suddenly went dark. The cruise photos were wiped. A few mutual connections mentioned they had to cancel their big holiday due to legal trouble. I haven't confirmed whether the cruise line issued a refund or not, but I do know one thing. I got a letter from the court earlier this month. Repayment's been reevaluated. Based on new financial disclosures, the repayment amount has jumped to £200 a week. That's still a long road back to $18K, but I'll take it. They fought dirty. I just did my homework. And I swear I sleep better now knowing they won't be sipping champagne in the Aegean on money they stole from me. What kills me is their reaction, scrambling to scrub their Facebook, canceling the cruise, trying to explain away legal troubles to the same friends they'd been flexing for. I hope they sit in that caravan with the broken down car, eating supermarket brand instant noodles, thinking about how they could have just done the job properly, or better yet, not stolen from someone who knows how to weaponize the system. And our last story. HOA Karen tried to take over my farmhouse. My sheriff brother made her disappear. So 10 years ago, my mom won the lottery. Instead of blowing it all on cruises and cars, she handed me a deed and a set of keys. Son, here's a piece of land. The house is old, but it's yours. Make a life here. Sounds dreamy, right? Except the house was basically a haunted shack. Leaning walls, caved-in roof, shutters held together with nails and divine intervention. Most people would bulldoze it, but I'm stubborn. If this place lasted 100 years, I can make it last another, I told myself. So I spent the next decade rebuilding. Winter nights with just a stove for heat, summer days hammering until the crickets came out. My only roommate was an owl in the attic. I named her Margaret. By the time 10 years passed, I had a strong farmhouse, a big porch, a garden, and peace. One day, bulldozers showed up over the hill. Within a year, there was a whole HOA neighborhood. Rows of copy-paste white houses with perfect lawns, and of course, the dreaded homeowners association. One morning, a shiny black Tesla rolled up my driveway. Out stepped this woman with hair that looked like a mix between a tiara and a radio antenna. Next to her was her sidekick, a 6'7" tattooed mountain of a man with a beard straight out of a Viking movie. Karen, you need to follow the rules of our association. Me, with broken English, my land, not your association. She huffed. Viking grumbled. Rules are rules. They kept coming back. Fake fines, threats of lawsuits, and once they literally broke my fence to use my land as a shortcut. That was the last straw. I called my stepbrother. Hey, I've got neighbor trouble. He laughed. Finally, I thought you'd gone feral. I'll be right there. Now, my brother isn't just any guy. He's a former soldier with 3 combat tours and currently the county sheriff. His sense of humor is dark, but it always lands. Let's put on a little theater, he said. We'll have fun with your Karen. Next time Karen and Viking showed up at my gate, wagging their fingers, a sheriff's truck rolled down my gravel road. My brother got out, adjusted his hat, and yelled, "Thanks for fixing up my daughter's house so nicely." I almost lost it. He walked up, nodded at me, then spun toward Karen with pure authority. "And who the hell are you? What are you doing on my land?" Karen's face went from tomato red to saccharine sweet in a heartbeat. We just wanted to welcome the new neighbor." And Viking, this man who'd only ever growled out words like a caveman, suddenly switched to the Queen's English. "Yes, sir, we're just leaving. Have a wonderful day. My brother winked at me. Well, son-in-law, see our guests out. I just smiled and said, safe travels. They got in their Tesla and vanished over the hill. And here's the best part, they never came back. Not once. 10 years of silence broken by one HOA Karen and ended by one sheriff's wink. The tattooed man turned out to be a British aristocrat at the end. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.